The Carnival Freedom is one of Carnival's most talked about cruise ships, and typically not for good reason. This ship has had two massive fires in the last 2 years, and because one of the videos that we have out about the Freedom is one of our most watched videos, we decided to go over basically addressing a lot of the comments that are asking us what are the things that we don't like, what are the things we like, and in this video we're going to focus on the things that we don't like. So with that being said, let's just jump right in and let's start talking about the Carnival Freedom. The Carnival Freedom underwent a dry dock in 2023, and basically it got a bunch of cosmetic updates like this new signature Carnival hull that is blue. It got the Heroes Bar added to it, and the ship is currently stationed out of Port Canaveral, Florida, typically doing 4 and 5 night sailings, which are known as booze cruises, which brings us to point number one that I do not like about the Carnival Freedom. I'm personally stepping out of my personality for this one. I'm taking an outsider perspective to this. But this is a party cruise through and through. If you are going on board the Carnival Freedom, you have to be prepared mentally to be in absolute party mode for 4 days straight. I'm saying pretty much everyone on board gets the drink package. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind people letting loose. Everyone has stress in their lives. If you go on vacation, to just let all those go. But your problem when you're on board is probably going to be when the clubs close at 2 a.m. and there's nowhere else to go, so people will hang out in the hallways, and there will be a lot of screaming, yelling, running up and down the hallways from people that have had probably 1 or 10 too many drinks. So if you're one of those people who really need peace and quiet to go to bed, I can see you really not enjoying your time on the Carnival Freedom because it is very loud. So let me emphasize what a lot of people will notice in the cruise industry. If it's a cheap cruise, and especially for these 4-day sailings, you can get on the ship for about $300. You can get the drink package for 4 days for around $200, maybe a little bit change when you add the auto gratuity. But for about $500, you can have your entire vacation taken care of, which means it is a cheaper cruise, which means it attracts some less desirable clientele, which might be a little unruly, or they don't have the same mannerisms as somebody who's spending maybe $2,000 on a cruise. Which leads me to my next thing, which is entitlement. And personally, I get it. The people who don't go on vacations very often, as I've noticed, feel like they're entitled to do anything they want. And to a certain point, I totally agree. You want to do some things on your vacation, you should be allowed to do those things. But when you get into the point of where you're affecting other people's vacations, that's where I start to draw the line. If you want to go have a drink at 9 a.m., you should be able to. If you want to listen to the music that's on board, you should be able to. If you want to go do a dance class, you should be able to. But when you want to bring a Bluetooth speaker to the deck and blast it because you don't like the music that's being played, and then that's when other people don't want to maybe listen to your music. So that's where we get to be a little disrespectful. And that's just entitlement. The people think just because they paid money that they can do whatever they want, whereas the fact of the matter is everyone's paid the same amount of money. If not, maybe they paid to be in a suite, maybe they're in a balcony, maybe they're in the interior and they pay the exact same, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. Everyone's paid to be on that cruise, so no one's above anyone else on a cruise ship. Unless, of course, you're platinum or whatever, you get the cool perks, and then maybe, all right, you're a little bit better than us. I've personally seen on the Freedom someone yelling at the waiter to bring their food faster when there's quite literally hundreds of people eating in the main dining room, the same dining room that they're eating in, and they think if they raise their voice with the waiter, that's gonna help the waiter bring their food faster or help the chefs cook their food faster, which I think is just absolutely ridiculous. And personally, I would never conduct myself that way, but for some reason on shorter cruises, that's just what happens. But that might have just been a one-off for my cruise. You never know. That's the thing with a cruise. Every week is a different experience based on who's aboard with you. So these are just my personal experiences on the Freedom. While we're talking about the main dining room, let's talk about food quality. And this kind of goes as a whole for Carnival, honestly, in 2024. The food quality isn't really there and hasn't been there since the cruising really restarted post-COVID. I want to emphasize that cruising used to be a luxury travel vacation where it'd be essentially going to a 5-star resort and you'd be able to eat your food in the main dining rooms. You'd be able to take out and order room service at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning with no extra cost, and you'd have this beautiful ground chuck burger cooked medium rare, and none of that's the case anymore. If you were to equate cruising on different cruise lines with eating at like a nice steakhouse, you can pretty much equate eating on Carnival with Applebee's. Sorry, that's my dog. You want to say hi?
Say hi, YouTube.
And eating at Applebee's is fine. I know what I'm getting. It's still going to be decent food. I'm not going to have to cook or clean it, so I don't mind it. But you just can't go in there with the thought of being like, this is going to be the best meal ever, because chances are you'll be let down pretty fast. And just with all the cutbacks that Carnival's done, like they went from filet mignon on formal nights to prime rib, which is real first world problems. I know we're talking about the cut of steak here, but to some people who are saving up lots of dollars for a long period of time to go and spend that on a vacation just to have a subpar experience, you know, that makes a difference. Also, the Freedom was the first ship to tell me that Carnival's limited the entrees from as many entrees as you wanted to just 2, but if you want to get a third or a fourth, you have to pay $5 for each additional entree, which if you're really hungry or if there's a bunch of things that look good on the menu that day, you can spring for it, but it's just something that rubbed me the wrong way because, well, I'm just stuck in the old ways of cruising and I just don't want to move forward with the times, to be honest. I liked it when it was just all glutton. You have to realize that the Carnival Freedom is an older ship, especially when you compare it to the Vista class and the newer XL class of ship. There's not that many free dining options. They do have Guy's Burgers, Blue Iguana Cantina, they have a panini press station, they have their buffet, but really after that, it starts to dwindle down on your free options. But I do have to say the free options they do have on board, they do keep really clean. And honestly, it looks very modern. And for that, I have to give them a kudos. But unfortunately, sometimes there's more than meets the eye. So that brings me to my next point, which is there's a smell on board. And honestly, it's not the worst smell, but there's definitely an odor. And it's really only in the bottom floors of the ship. So when you're booking rooms, just know all rooms are not created equal, especially the ones on the lower floors, which is why I'm hesitant to tell you to ever book an ocean view on board, because those are on the lower floors because the balconies are on the upper floors. So just know that I'm not sure what the odor is. It could possibly be sewage. It could possibly be some rust or some things that they have on the walls that they just put a fresh coat of paint on just to make it look pretty. But there is a faint odor. I have been told that that has been corrected over the last couple of months, but for whatever reason, there was an odor while I was on board and I really couldn't shake it. When we were going to dinner, we'd walk out the door and we're just like, I don't really have an appetite anymore because, well, it just stinks right now. And my final con on the Carnival Freedom is, where is the fun on this fun ship? I still have to say Carnival is leagues above the rest, but it is not where they used to be. And especially with the older ships, they definitely lack the activities. It's good that the Carnival Freedom has its water park. It's good that it has its mini golf courses. It has a basketball court. So there are some activities to do, but when you compare it to the newer Carnival ships, it really doesn't have much to do. And because of that, you have to rely on the staff to make up the difference. And unfortunately on the Freedom, for whatever reason, they don't do any of the fun things that they used to. Like they don't do quests, they don't do the lip sync, which I know is fleet-wide. But on ships of this magnitude, where there isn't as many draws to go to different zones or areas of the ship, they have to do something during the daytime. Like, we can only do so much musical bingo. We can only sing karaoke so many times. Granted, it is only a 4 or 5 day cruise, but those are just boring. Give me something with a little bit more pizzazz, and then we'd be happy. I do have to say, overall, I always enjoy my time on Carnival, no matter which ship I'm on. I did enjoy my time on the Freedom. This is me just nitpicking because we do have so many comments asking us what we don't like about these ships, especially when we do our tours and reviews. So we figured we'd come on here, address pretty much the 5 main concerns. But if you like this video, let us know. We could do this for other ships. We could do the 5 things that we really liked about the ship as well, if that would interest you. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy and peace.
This right here is mess. Okay.
What do you want? I can get you that.
I want y'all to recoat this correctly at 172 degrees.
Ooh, now you know the degrees.